Paltalk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users, and now on demand on iTunes. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten. Well, the whole world has been watching and just shaking its head, I think, over the recent rash of nooses, hanging nooses that have been either placed on trees where black people congregate or put on the lockers of deputy police chiefs who are African American, or sent in the mail to principals, black principals in Brooklyn, New York. I actually, in preparation for today's show, it's unbelievable, and I encourage all of you to go and Google just the word noose and then click on news and see how many incidents of this we are dealing with today, 2007, not 1947, not 1957, not 1967, 2007. It's beyond comprehension. Well, it's been driving me crazy, and I decided we had to bring in an expert on the issue. And so I'm very happy to have Roberta Richin. She's the executive director of the Council for Prejudice Reduction. And you've been very busy lately. And by the way, you're also a consultant to the Simon Wiesenthal Museum of Tolerance and co-author of a couple of books, including Connecting Character to Conduct, Helping Students Do the Right Thing, which talks about how to react to these various interpersonal relationship issues in the schools. I'm going to move this a little closer to you because my voice travels a lot better than yours does. You've been a busy woman lately as a result of all this, because it's not just this Jenna or Gina, Louisiana incident that's gotten all the publicity. It's here in New York City. Columbia University, Columbia, the bastion of liberalism in the United States, in New York City.
In 2007.
In 2007.
Yeah.
What the heck is happening in our society?
It's the Council for Prejudice Reduction is a public-private partnership that advances equity and reduces prejudice in partnership with public schools. So it's a volunteer effort, and I'm a volunteer executive director. And this coincided with our 15th annual conference for educators, and their theme is always reducing prejudice, a matter of education. And my position really is that, in general, prejudice is like a virus. We all have it floating around inside of us. All of us have some sort of biases. If you go to the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles, which is very large, they invite you to walk into one of two doors. One is prejudice, one is not prejudice. The one that's not prejudice doesn't go anywhere. It's a moment to say, get over yourself.
Right.
You're either biased toward or against something.
Of course, we all have
it's a little bit like having pneumocystis carinii pneumonia lurking around inside. You have a little bit of it. But if you do not keep your resistance up, if you do not consciously take care of your social and emotional immune system, then you become vulnerable to hate and this kind of terrible nexus of hate and greed and this sense of justification that makes people feel it's okay in the dark of night to do things that people wake up to and feel scared.
So black people obviously are very much frightened, I would imagine, if they receive a noose, which is a symbol of the Ku Klux Klan, where they used to hang black people just for being black. You mentioned before we went to air, it's not just the nooses, it's the swastikas. And obviously that has a chilling effect on a lot of people, most notably Jews, but not just Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, and any minority group that doesn't march to the goose step of the Aryan race. It has a chilling effect. I will preface anything further that I may say, and as this show goes on, that I am a believer in free speech. If you have a prejudice, I would rather you tell me to my face.
Yes.
Because my feeling is I cannot change what is in your heart, what is in your soul, what is in your mind. I can't change that. You're either going, if you got that, you got it. If you're not going to like me because the color of my skin, my religion, whatever, for whatever reason, that's your problem, not mine. Be upfront about it. Don't be, smiling faces, tell lies, and stab me in the back. I would rather almost have it out in front. But when you feel that you could go out, that you have the license to go out and take a symbol of hate like a noose and hang it on a tree where black kids are tend to congregate.
We're all, I guess, in my view, for what it may be worth, we are all hanging, we are all in the shadow of the noose. We're all smeared by the swastika. Mm-hmm. We are all sliced by the box cutter that cut into the skin of an ordinary woman, a Muslim woman going to work and trying to open her nail salon in Nassau County. We are all afraid of this thing. And what this does is bring into the open, I guess my response to you is, yes, is to quote Morris Dees, who persuaded the Supreme Court to consider the notion of hate crime by saying very specifically and simply, you're entitled to hate, you're not entitled to hurt.
Right.
And we can work well and play well and live well and go to school well and do everything else well that we need to do and not really love the person. It doesn't matter to me what you feel. It matters to me what you say and do.
Yeah, how you
and
treat
these are
me.
Opportunities for impulse control. The way you treat me, in my view, and this is both the position of the Council for Prejudice Reduction as well as the position of well, at least my experience and the work that we do, is that the way you treat me shows how you feel about you. If you try to scare me, you're scared. If you try to bully me, you're afraid, and you're just trying to get the jump on something scary. Hate is a palpable, universal pattern of human response. Mm-hmm. Its core is fear, and its core is greed. And if you look at every genocide, every injury, every individual assault, or every collective mass murder, at the root of it is a sense of group justification, saying, I'm entitled to take this thing, this life, this rich, this goods, this time, this land. I'm entitled to do this because I have the numbers for it. I'm allowed to do it because other people agree with me. There are more of me than there are of you. I've created a mythology about the fact that you're disgusting, or I've created a mythology that God doesn't love you, or whatever that is that I've decided to do in this time and space, whether we're talking about the Rwandan genocide, or we're talking about Cambodia, or we're talking about Darfur, we're talking about wherever it is in the history of mankind on every continent, I guess except Antarctica. We have this bloody stain. And what we can do today, and what I invite everybody else to do today, is acknowledge that we have a contagion. This is a virus. It is spread by being neglectful about the way we connect with each other. We can clean ourselves up every day. There's a marvelous writer who writes on other issues regarding health. Her name is Dr. Christian Northrup. And she says, taking care of yourself emotionally and physically is as basic as brushing your teeth. But you have to do this work with intent every day, the way you brush your teeth, at least a few times every day. Acknowledge the significance and importance of living well and working well with each other. If respect looks and sounds a particular way, then we can commit to doing that. There's no lane on the expressway or line on the subway that says this is for the Jews and this is for the Christians, this is for the Muslims, this is for the Buddhists, this is for the animists, this is for... We're all together and we're all in the same process.
Well, this is what I've always liked about New York City, and it was really interesting. When I was at CNN, I actually wrote for CNN.com an essay about John Rocker, the former relief pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, who made the horrible remarks about not wanting to take the number 7 train out to Shea Stadium to play the Mets because nobody's speaking English, and to him, and he talked about all these different ethnic groups and so forth. It was a bad thing, and what I wrote was, I agree with everything that John Rocker says, except my conclusions are different. This is wonderful.
Yes.
And what we did, and to CNN's credit, they allowed me to do this. I went with a photographer and we went on every stop along the 7 line.
Oh, how terrific.
And it's like going through Epcot Center, except they really are
They're
ethnic
really there.
neighborhoods. and in Queens, it's delightful. Everybody knows about Manhattan. They don't have any idea of richness, the cultural richness of Queens.